Mark Schultz on 630 CHED.
16 minutes after 2, and we're joined in the studio by Mr. Brett Kissel. Flat Lake, Alberta is where he was born, and everyone in St. Paul, take note, your son is here right now.
Oh, I'm very excited to be on the program, guys. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Now, you were saying that you grew up listening to 630 CHED?
Yeah, I did. You know, in my family, they've been listening to 630 CHED back in the days, I guess, when 630 CHED was playing music before I went to news and talk and sports. But I can vividly remember driving to school with my dad and listening to Brian Hall in the morning.
Yeah.
And there's so many great characters and hosts that have been here, and you guys included. So it's really great to get a chance to spend some time with you.
Part of the reasoning, other than just to have a chat with you and say hi, which is always a pleasure, my
Thank you.
friend, but we are also celebrating the fact that you're releasing your major label debut tomorrow, October 1st.
That's right.
It's called Started With a Song, and so you must be like walking on cloud nine right now. You got a major label release here. You've done the work to get to this point. Well, how's it feel, man?
It feels really good, Mark. You know, you think about it, two of my favorite things are happening tomorrow. The start of the NHL season, the Oilers are coming back, and then I'm releasing my major label record. And getting signed to Warner Music was a great thrill. They've had so many great artists, you know, over their history, and so to be part of that team is huge for me. And then, you know, to get the opportunity to, you know, go out and do this run of promo and release singles to the radio. This is my dream. This is getting the opportunity to kind of get called up to the big leagues.
Now, you were signed to Warner,
Yes.
right? And if I remember correctly, I think some of the guys that are also on that album include Garth Brooks.
They've had many huge stars.
Yeah.
You know, and Canadian guys that I look up to, like Paul Brandt, who's been a Warner artist for many years, and then Michael Bublé, you know, signed to Warner Music. There's such a large list and a long list of great talent. So, you know, to be a kid from Flat Lake, Alberta, between St. Paul and Bonnyville, it's pretty exciting for all of us.
We're speaking with Brett Kissel, who's on the verge of releasing his major label debut album. Brett, we first met when you were 11 years old, when I was
right.
at the old Big Breakfast Show on 8 Channel years ago. I mean, don't fill in every tiny blank because we only have so much time, but talk a little bit about the road that you've traveled, because I know our paths have crossed a bunch, but between, you know, 11 years and 11 years old and here you are at 23 and on the cusp of such a major deal, give us a sense of what it takes to get to this place.
Well, I've had great team around me, from my parents to, you know, local management. A friend of mine, Danny Hooper, managed me for a few years. And then another dear friend, Dr. Bob Stedward, was my manager for a few years. And Dr. Bob really took a lot of kind of the sports approach when managing me, as he did with Jamie Soleil and David Pelletier. And, you know, there was a bit of a recipe for success that he had that I've really adapted and believed in. And it's, you know, talent, commitment, sacrifice, and having a good attitude about it all. And, you know, if I try to remember those four things, I've been very lucky to have had great success over the past 11 years.
But good gigs beget good gigs, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
one thing leads to another.
There you go. And you've really, you know, you've put in the time. This is not, you know, we always say, oh, a rising star, a new star. I mean, the work to get to here is, you're a veteran, and here you are, a debut, right?
Well, it's a very exciting time for all of us, and I know so many people are excited, not only just me.
So the thing is that your head could be super ginormous right now. Let's put it that way. You're 22, 23 years old, signed by a major label. Your debut single off the album, which was released earlier this summer,
That's right.
Started With a Song, was huge.
It went number one, and that's all you can hope for. That's the best case scenario.
So your album's coming out tomorrow. How are you keeping grounded?
Well, I think Mark would know, as we've known each other for many years, but you know, people listening, I grew up on a cattle ranch, and my parents still ranch, and my grandparents still ranch out in, you know, the St. Paul area. And I guess having that rural background has really kept me grounded. Yesterday, I had a day off, and I knew my family needed some help, so we drove out and was chasing cattle. We were bringing them from one pasture, taking them, you know, bringing them home and dehorning cows and stuff. And it's that kind of stuff that keeps me grounded and, you know, reminds me that I'm still a real young guy, and nothing's really changed.
Brett Kissel is our guest right now. How would you define the theme of this album, or the mood or the vibe of this album?
Being able to write every song on the record or co-write everything gave me the opportunity to really talk about who I am as a person. So I really wanted to focus on good times and good messages in the songs. And, songs written about love, or from my personal experiences. Songs written about tragedy were from, again, personal experiences. But we have many songs that talk about having good times. And where I come from and my buddies back in high school, we like to get into a little bit of trouble. So we wrote a lot of songs about that.
Huh. I can't wait to hear this. Now,
Yeah.
one of the songs, you talk about tragedy, one of the songs is very, very personal.
Right.
Can you tell me about that?
Well, we lost my grandma and my grandpa, Lloyd and Betty Kissel. We lost them in a car accident 2 Christmases ago. And that was a really tough time for all of us. And I wrote a song called Together. And we found comfort in knowing that if they were going to go, it's great that they're together. And so I wrote a song about their life, and it's a true tribute to them and to my family and how much we miss them, and we still think about them. But they set up a great foundation for me to have a great career in music, and for my cousins to have great careers in the oil business, and my brother to have a great career in what he's doing. And we're very lucky to have such a great family.
Could you take us to Calgary during the big Alberta benefit for the flood situation? What kind of a day was that for you?
Well, I mean, I live in Nashville, Tennessee now, and to see this on CNN, to see what was going on in Calgary was really hit home for me and for my family that were affected down there. So when I was asked to be part of the flood benefit, I was able to do 2 shows, one called Halo High Water with Tom Jackson and a bunch of great Canadian artists, Dean Brody, Paul Brandt, and myself. And then to get to play another large one, one of the biggest, events I've been able to play at McMahon Stadium. Now that was incredible with Nickelback and Loverboy and Sheepdogs, Matthew Good. It was incredible to be part of that lineup and to be invited as an Albertan to give back. And there's no better way for me to give back than to do it, through music.
Signing to the label, the #1 hit single, playing these benefit concerts.
Right.
What's been the highlight recently?
I think I'm going to have the big highlight tomorrow, getting a chance to go out to the stores and see my album for the first time on shelves. That's going to be a true highlight, but at the same time, I would say signing my record deal was so big for me and for my family because I'm such a big sports fan that I kind of figured it was like getting that first NHL entry-level contract, That's exactly how I, thought about it.
Speaking of that, Mr. Oiler, because you truly
Yes,
you bleed it, man. Did they make the right call on the captain?
You know what? A lot of people are talking about the young guys, but for me, Andrew Ference, he's a good guy from Elk Point, Alberta, and he has held the cup high, like you were saying in your opening in the show, and that speaks for a lot in the locker room. That when they're going out and maybe they're trying to fight for a few games in the playoffs, I think Andrew Ference can be the guy to say, hey, you know what? We can do it. I've won a cup before, and this is what it takes.
You have promised us that you were going to sing us a tune when you came in today. By the way, it's Brett Kissel joining us in studio today. The song, which was huge, is it still #1?
It actually is. Yeah, it's still for the 6th week. It's still #1.
It is called
This is
Started
great.
with a Song. How about you play it for us right now?
I'd love to. I hope everybody listening enjoys it too. At the edge of town, me and the boys just hanging out, the radio up and the tailgate down. Yeah, we were passing something around, then right then that old DJ spun a little gold that was custom made. Everybody hollering, turn it up, holding up them Dixie cups. Yeah, I remember right about then, I could feel a good time kicking in. It all started with a song, flicking that match on the gasoline, turning them caution lights green. Yeah, when you're 17, you never felt something that strong, and you can't help but sing along. Looking back on everything I've done, I could do no wrong. It all started with a song. Oh, she dropped dead, I was tongue-tied. She was over on the passenger side, parked down by the river, but I couldn't make a move, I was so shy. And yeah, that's a night I'll never forget. Coming on the FM and her leaning in for our first kiss. It all started with a song, flicking that match on the gasoline, turning them caution lights green. Yeah, when you're young and free, you never felt so Looking back on everything I've done, I can do no wrong. It all started with a song. And every night when I'm standing in the spotlight, beating on these 6 strings all night. And yeah, the story of my heart all started with a song. Flicking that match on the gasoline, turning them caution lights green. Yeah, when you're young and free, you never felt something so strong, and you can't help but sing along. Looking back on everything I've done, I can do no wrong. It all started with a song. It all started with a song.
Nice.
Well done. Thank you, Brett.
Thank
you
you.
so much. So when you're talking about the girl in the song, who's the girl?
The girl is it's a beautiful girl that I was
Careful.
chasing for a long, long time, and you fast forward a few years, I was actually able to make her my wife. So
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay.
All right, so I am assuming that you're going to be hitting the road like nobody's business. Where will for folks listening, in Chedville right now, where will you be going so we can see you?
well, I'm excited. I've just been asked to come out and perform in Smoky Lake on the weekend at the Big Pumpkin Fair. So we'll be headlining a big event out there on Saturday, October the 5th. We've got a sold-out show in Josephburg, just outside of Fort Saskatchewan on Sunday, and then we head off and we do a bunch of promo in Toronto and the rest of the country over the rest of the month. And it's many, many gigs, but the best way to do is follow me on Twitter at Brett Kissel, and you'll know all about it, or go to my website, brettkissel.com.
So Brett, we don't have much time left here, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where are we going to see you? What's your dream?
Well, I think it'd be really great if maybe we could have a bit of a celebration at the Canadian Country Music Awards. Maybe hold a nice piece of glass up high and the trophy or something. But really, I mean, I just want to continue to make great music and hopefully see if I can bring my Alberta country music brand to the rest of Canada and hopefully the rest of the world too.
Real pleasure to have you here. Nice to
you.
see you as always, Brett.
Appreciate it, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you, Mark.
Take good care.
Thank you, Jalen.
Thank you very much. That's Mr. Brett Kissel. His album, Started With a Song, comes out tomorrow. It's his first major label album. It's Warner Music. You can check it out iTunes.
iTunes and then HMV, Walmart,
You
wherever
name
they're
it.
sold.
And also in the back of his car.
That's right.
There, right? No doubt.
Yeah, sponsored by the good people at Driving Force. I got a bunch in my
There you
truck, so you
go.
can come on out.
He's perfect, I'm telling you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.